up, everybody? Miles Masercola here with the Hoop State Network, and we are live right now from Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina, here in the gym at First Flight High School. We host the 2023 Good Guys vs. Cancer Showcase. This is the schedule reveal show. It's presented to you by outerbanks.org. We're excited to bring you guys in here. It's going to be an incredible event yet again. This event has become an annual staple for us, for everyone here on the Outer Banks, and for the teams around the states of North Carolina and Virginia and beyond. They get a chance to participate every single year. Before we take a look at the 2023 schedule, let's take a look back at some of the best moments in Good Guys history.
First Flight High School, Good Guys versus Cancer. The environment is electric in here right now. So happy for Coach Chad. This is why we do this event in OBX.
And this is a crowd that does not get to see this stuff very often.
Talk about getting a chance to bring in Myers Park. 2 years ago, one of their top players, he just happens to be the quarterback in Carolina.
Eli all the way to the basket.
Spin like a top, Eli. Spin like a top.
Oh, he dropped him. He dropped him. Shea dropped him. He put some eyes on the ground.
Oh, what a move from Freddie to the cup.
Oh, goodness.
My gosh.
Met him at the peak of the mountain.
Oh, my gosh. Freddie Dilly Long just put it on his head. Coaches versus Cancer. Might have been the craziest game we've ever done in the history of the Hoop State.
Yeah, that Freddie dunk just gets the juices flowing every time. Joining me here, Chad Williams, athletic director, head coach here at First Flight High School. The man that had the vision that turned into a mission, and I'd say that mission's ahead of schedule. What is that mission, and why is it so important to you to turn this event into what it's become?
Well, for people who don't know, Good Guys versus Cancer was my dad was named Guy Williams, and in 2018 he was diagnosed with a very rare form of cancer. And some people around the coaching community in the state found out about it. We got invited to the Coaches versus Cancer event in Asheville. And one of the requirements to attend that is you have to do your own fundraiser to go. And so my idea was Asheville's a long ways away. I don't know of anything that's in the east. And so we had our own showcase / tournament here in order to be a fundraiser to attend that one. And I invited some people in the coaching community that I'm very close to who are just really good guys, if you will. And that's sort of how it took root. And it has grown exponentially, and it's hard to believe that it was just 2018 when we started this, and where we've come to. My dad was not able to come to the first one because he was actually still in the hospital, and unfortunately he passed away just a few weeks after the first showcase. But he's been watching ever since, and so I know he's got to be very proud of what has transpired in his name, and we've been able to send a lot of money to the American Cancer Society, and we've also just been able to bring a brand of basketball to the Outer Banks that people are just not accustomed to. And so anyway, it's exciting, and I'm proud of where we are, and I couldn't do it without you guys and without our sponsors. But I'm excited to reveal who we've got coming this year, because every year we say it's getting bigger and better, but this year it's an exciting thing.
So like we said, Good Guys versus Cancer is expanding to a 4-day event, and on Wednesday night, these are the games we have. 4:30, girls matchup, First Flight High School versus Hatteras, a local game. Then following that at 6 o'clock is another local matchup between Manio and Hatteras. That's a boys matchup. And then at 7:30, Winston-Salem Christian will be making their first appearance at Good Guys versus Cancer. They'll be playing Hargrave Military Academy. Wrapping that up at 9 o'clock will be Moravian Prep National, Eli Ellis with the nightcap against Peninsula Catholic. Chad, what are your thoughts on bringing Winston-Salem Christian into this event for the first time with all the noise they've made since Coach Lowe got over there?
Super excited to have a Coach Antonio Lowe come in. We were excited when he called us. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Let's find a way to make this happen. And that's another one of those teams in North Carolina that has said, hey, we'd like to get in, and so we're going to find a place for you. And I'm super excited to see them come in. I know they have a lot of athleticism. I'm not as familiar with watching them play, so I'm very excited. That is the great thing about the other events I was able to go to last year, was watching teams play and going, yep, that's who I want here.
So Thursday, 4:30, Currituck High School will be playing Peninsula Catholic out of Virginia. At 6 o'clock, Camden High School will be playing Nansemond Suffolk out of Virginia. And then at 7:30, Word of God National will be playing the Burlington School. Big-time matchup, a couple of big-time players in that game. And then at 9 o'clock, Moravian Prep will be playing Winston-Salem Christian. I know Rod's going to talk about this matchup as well, but quickly, what are your thoughts on that game and how it could go down?
I can't wait to see it. Like I said, it was important for us to keep the local teams, but then we didn't want to have a day of just local teams. So So we want to bring the excitement that we can. Hopefully people get here early for the early games and stick around and watch these. And really excited to have these teams coming in on Wednesday and Thursday.
And for a more in-depth breakdown on Winston-Salem Christian versus Moravian Prep, we're going to kick it to the studio with our guy, Rod Bridgers.
Oh, my goodness. This is about to be a movie. I'm so excited to see Eli thrive in this environment because this big game, big moments, there's not too many people better than we've seen in the last few years in the hoop state. I'm curious to see this matchup with the point guard Jordan Lowry from Winston-Salem Christian. Just picked up an NC State offer. It's a 4-star guard. He has a lot of high major interest. He looks the part. But make no mistake about it, Winston-Salem Christian is loaded as well. Guys like Isaiah Washington, Braden Crump, Lewis Walker. You got Big Chow in the middle. So make no mistake about it. Winston-Salem Christian is ready to play. This is going to be an intense matchup. I can't wait to see it. Back to you guys.
Awesome. Rod, thank you so much for that breakdown. And you mentioned earlier about going to some other events, seeing teams you're like, I want them at Good Guys. Cannon is one of those teams. What did you see from Austin Swartz at the John Wall last year that Webb and I had the chance to see all year long that made you say, I want this kid playing in our event?
I think it was about 30 seconds. Literally, they came down, and in 3 possessions, I was like, yep, that's exactly who I want. You could tell right away they were well coached. You could tell they were well disciplined. You could tell that they knew what they were doing. And you could tell that Schwartz was the real deal. I literally 30 seconds into the game, I went and found you, Rod, and said, hey, man, we got to find a way to make this happen. That's who I want to come to Good Guys.
He is a special, special scorer, and that leads us perfectly in to our Friday schedule. So at 4:30, Greenfield School, young point guard Kobe Edwards will be leading the charge against Blue Ridge. Then we have Cannon School making their first appearance at this event, playing St. Anne's Belfield, who was here last year. That'll be a big-time guard matchup with future ACC guard in Austin Swartz and another likely future ACC guard in Chance Mallory. And then at 7:30, man, this is a special, special matchup. Arguably the best public in NC versus the best public in Virginia. Myers Park versus John Marshall. First off, I want to touch on Myers Park because they've been in this event before. Getting John Marshall and a guy like Ty White, who's just a legend in this space in grassroots and high school basketball, getting him to bring his group to this event and playing the games that they're playing, how big is that, and what are you expecting to see from them?
Huge, and it's funny. We actually tried to get them here like 2 years ago, and they weren't nearly on the national scene like they are now, obviously. So for them to, and really it was just hey, man, just checking back with you, man, would you be interested in coming this year? And it was like, yeah, I would. And at that point it was like, okay, hook, line, sinker, let's get this thing set. And so we were able to work it out and get him here. And the matchup with Myers Park, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Seriously, that is a dream matchup for anybody's event anywhere. Mm-hmm. And so that's one that people are going to be, extremely excited to see. Really glad to have Myers Park coming back. They took the year off, but they were here year one.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been here every year except last year. So glad to have Scott and the boys coming back. And by the way, they're bringing that 4A state championship with them. So
those are 2 state champions. John Marshall won. I think they won their 2A state championship last year, 93-29.
It was big. It was really big. Ranked number 1 in the nation for most of the year.
Yeah. And then obviously Myers Park, you have Sadiq White, Sir Muhammad, Bishop Boswell, and John Marshall's got Latrell Almond, who's a top 30 player in 2026. They got Marcus Jackson. They got Red. They got a lot of really, really good players. So that's going to be a big-time matchup at 7:30. And then at 9 o'clock closing out, you actually have to coach, believe it or not. So he's got to coach his team, first fight. They're playing against Richmond Senior. Paul McNeil just announced he's going back there for his senior year. He'll be playing at NC State in college. So I'm not going to, have you give the game plan away, but how excited are you to coach in that game? Extremely
excited. By the way, Richmond County's coming in. That's right. They lost in the 4A state championship last year. So thank you very much. I pride myself and I pride this program on that. We'll play anybody, anywhere, anytime. And so when we have an opportunity to play a team like Richmond County, on our turf, come on in. We'll see it happen. And it's going to be a matchup that people are going to want to see, because if people aren't used to watching First Light, they don't know much about us, they're going to like our style of basketball, and we got some pieces to the puzzle this year.
And you just mentioned it. For the first time, we got a lob threat on the Outer Banks. Caleb Spencer transferred in, 6'9", long, athletic, has a skill set that is really good for a kid of his size.
Caleb brings a little more to the table on the offensive end especially. He can stretch you out to the three-point line. He can put the ball on the floor. he can get up and go get it. He is going to be a nice addition and to us, and people who are expecting him just to sit on the block and not be a factor other than rebounding are going to be in for a very big surprise, because we're going to put him out on the perimeter and let him go to work. And he's been great so far. He's got to learn what we do a little bit better, but we're going to get there, and I'm really excited to have him here. He's a great kid.
I want to note this: on Friday night, 3 ACC commits are playing in a bunch more, 3 to 5 more guys that will be playing either at least at that high major level. You got Sir Muhammad, who's going to Notre Dame. You got Austin Swartz, who's going to Miami, and then you obviously have Paul McNeil, who's going to NC State, and Bishop Boswell might be committed to an ACC school by that point. I know he's going to probably decide at the end of the month. We're sitting here mid-September, so there's going to be a lot of talent on the floor on Friday night. And moving on to Saturday, first tip, 9 a.m. Last tip, 9 p.m. 9 to 9. It's going to be a marathon day. I hope if you're running a coffee shop around here, you hike your prices.
We've got games, early games, that would be headliners in other people's events, without question. And it's like one after another, just haymakers, And so I'm so excited to be able to offer this to people, because they're going to be like, that game is at noon,
So starting at 9 a.m., Peninsula Catholic will be playing Hertford County. Hertford County has traditionally been a team that goes on deep playoff runs in North Carolina. At 10:30, state champion, Wilson Prep, led by Coach Atkinson. Great group. They're playing Catholic High School out of Virginia. At noon, we have Greenfield versus Lansdowne. At 1:30, we have Burlington School versus Blue Ridge. Starting at 3 o'clock, this is a big matchup. Cannon School will be taking on Millbrook. A little Charlotte versus Raleigh action. Why not do it in the Outer Banks? And Colt Langdon versus Austin Swartz. That's going to be a big-time game. What are your expectations for that?
Well, I love the private school, public school matchups. I do. But that's one of my things that I really like to see. Millbrook, we had the pleasure of playing them last year. I say the pleasure. They beat the doors off of us early. But they got a great team. Coach does a great job with them. And again, Cannon, with what they're bringing to the table, that's going to be one that people in North Carolina are going to be excited to see, from other parts of the state, from the Charlotte area, like you said, and the Raleigh area, to see where those teams stack up early.
And I think our guy Rod has some thoughts on this game, too. We'll kick it over to him right now.
This is a big-time matchup here at Good Guys versus Cancer. We know Cannon School is led by one of the best scorers in the country, headed to University of Miami, the U, my guy Austin Swartz. Isaiah Henry's a bucket. We know Coach Shea's going to have this team ready to play. I'm going to give you a name to look for. They got a young freshman, Lincoln Vincent. He can shoot the ball from the parking lot. I'm excited to see this Cannon team. And for Millbrook, we know everything begins with Colt Langdon, the do-it-all forward, multiple high major offers, top 50 recruit in the country. This team is well coached by Coach Davis year in and year out. They compete for state championships every year in the 4A classification. They got guys like Jacob Lawton and Brandon Callahan as well, too. So this is going to be a fun matchup here. It's going to be a great day of basketball. This is one of the matchups you want to beat. Make sure you're front and center for.
Appreciate it, Rod. Let's lead back into the rest of the schedule. At 4:30, we have John Marshall playing Richmond Senior. 2 more top VA and C matchups, which is, I think, one of the things that this event has become known for as well, putting Virginia against North Carolina. And then at 6 o'clock, a 2025 guard matchup that everyone's going to want to see. Chance Mallory and St. Anne's Belfield against Eli Ellis and Moravian Prep. It'll be Eli's last game here this season. What are you expecting between those two guys who are very, very, very competitive and I know want a shot at one another?
That's going to be one where you better have your popcorn ready and you better be in here early. I'm super excited to see those two go at each other head to head.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. They're both ranked very similarly, being recruited by a lot of the same schools, so that's going to be good. 7:30, we got a independent/private versus a public, which you don't get to see a lot nowadays. A lot of public schools don't want to play the prep schools of the world. Myers Park said, we don't care. We feel like we can play with anybody in America, and they're going to be playing against Word of God. Word of God led by, you got Jordan Vick going to ECU. You got the big fella Jaden Quaintance down low, who's making a push to be a top 3 player in the country, period. And then Myers Park obviously has their big 3 with Boswell, Sadiq White, and Sir Muhammad. That is going to be fireworks in this gym.
So for them to come here and be matched up with each other, 7:30 on a Saturday night, December the 2nd, in Kill Devil Hills, are you kidding? People who don't know, who aren't familiar, our fans who aren't familiar with these players, I promise you will be by the time it comes. and they're going to be blown away. And I think that these kids on these teams are going to be blown away by the reception that they're going to get here.
And in the nightcap, you got to put your coaching hat on again. That's how it goes. You're playing Kinston. This game has become a tradition, Saturday night nightcap.
I grew up playing in Eastern North Carolina. You know, Kinston was actually in the league I played in our conference at the time. I was at Northeastern in Elizabeth City, and so I played against Perry's brother Webb. You know, played at Kinston, and Kinston basketball is North Carolina basketball.
100%.
And when I didn't really even know Perry when I called him, the first year to invite him, and literally it took him about 25 seconds to say, yes, I'd love to. And since then, he and I have forged a very close, special friendship. We've actually been able to coach together in some all-star games. And there's just not many better people that you'll find than Perry Tyndall. And there's not many programs anywhere, not just North Carolina, in the country, like Kinston High School.
And now that everything's out in the open, the countdown begins to the 2023 Good Guys vs. Cancer Showcase. We can't wait to have everybody here at First Flight. Be sure to lock in on the stream on the Hoopsday Network. If you can't make it out, over 40 Division I players, probably 15 or so high major players, some of the most notable players in high school basketball in the country will be right here in Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina. We can't wait to see you here. We'll see y'all soon.